And welcome back to another perspectives and the first perspectives for this new year of 2023. And so I thought I would slightly change the background a bit and to a bit of variety. As they say, variety is the spice of life. Um, and so to speak with you from here, my salon, my living room. Um, well, as I mentioned in my last chat with you, and welcome back, by the way, for those few of you who are joining me in this little chat. I did say in the last Perspectives Twilight's End that I wasn't really going to talk about predictions for this year, and I stick by that. I'm not going to talk about predictions. Other than that, I have mentioned to a couple of friends that I think this year is going to be rocky and revealing. Both rocky in terms of the continuation and perhaps acceleration of external events, and also revealing in terms of, I think, a lot of stuff's going to come out, or people are going to be aware, and more people are going to develop their awareness and see more clearly about how events are unfolding and perhaps the hidden hands behind the events, and also a personal revealing for ourselves, because the further we go through this journey, the more we are going to have to make critical decisions for our own self. So we have to reveal ourself to ourself. So I think there's going to be an external revealing and some self-revealing. But I'll leave the predictions to the predictionists. But anyway, I just wanted to say that I recently just come back from Spain, where I spent the new year. That, by the way, is Pampy, the one you just maybe heard barking. And this one is Foucault. So Foucault and Pampy. Pampy is a Yorkshire Terrier, but I call him a Yorkshire Terrorizer. And in fact, as I was taking the train to the airport, I sat down in my seat, and I always try to acknowledge people. And when I sat down, I said hello to the person next to me, and they nodded and smiled. Didn't say anything, but just acknowledged my acknowledgement. But a short while after, this person left and another person came, and it was a young man, and he sat down straight away, no eye contact, straight away. He sat down and put the hood over his head, and then took out his phone and just was looking at the phone the whole time. And this was for about 1 hour. And for 1 hour, this person did not lift their head up, did not take any kind of acknowledgement of the surroundings. Just 1 hour with the hood down, so like covered by a sheet almost, and just scrolling. And then at the airport, when I was waiting in the airport queue, as you have to do, I was looking around, and this is no exaggeration, it must have been 80%, 80% of the people in the queue, all with their head in their phone. Now, I do use my phone when I'm traveling, but I use it for messaging mostly, telling close friends or my movements. I'm at the airport now, I'm going to board soon, or giving my ETA to my destination, so the people there know that I'm going, that the plane is on time. So I use it for live messaging, and when I finish the message, I put it away. And if I get a buzz, my phone is always on silent, on vibrate. I don't like sounds on my phone. So if I get a vibrate, which I recognize as a respond to my message, I take it out and respond. But if I'm not using a live messaging service, I leave the phone alone. I mean, I could check emails, but I don't, because that's a static thing. That's something you can do at any time when you choose to sit down at the desk or somewhere. But I don't like to do static things when I'm traveling. But I noticed, all these people in their phones, their life is in the monitor. And there's another example where one day when I was in Spain, I went out for a lunchtime meal with friends, and I noticed at the next table there was a family of children, parents and a grandparent. And again, I have to say there was very little intercommunication physically, and all the time they was on the phones. Even the grandparent was on the phone at some point, but the sons who were continually in the screen. And really the only time I saw them communicating was when they were showing videos to their family member and laughing about some funny video or something. But there was very little intercommunication. Now that's an extreme example, I guess, but I have noticed that more and more people are just living into their monitor screens, especially on these social interaction occasions where before everything would be social interacting. Now the monitor screen has taken over. I'm sure there's lots of families who don't use monitor when they're out eating, but it is a developing trend. So those are three notable examples that I picked up just in the recent travels. Now, I don't live in a city, or any type of city, big or small, thankfully. And I venture rarely into the cities these days, thankfully. But the times I have recently, I've noticed this kind of continual moving around with the phone. It's as if it's an appendage. And this made me think that what we're seeing here is a kind of disembodiment. Is that when you're inside the monitor, you're not really inside your body. You're not even really inside your head. You're projecting yourself inside the screen, and the screen is also projecting inside you. So it's a kind of other realm. I suppose it's a kind of precursor to the kind of metaverse realm when it's full immersion. This is not full immersion, but you're mentally in the monitor. And you're not really in your body or in your social environment, your social context. So you're outside your body and you're not in a social contact environment. It's a bit like, I suppose, willing social distancing, because you're social distancing in a kind of emotional, psychological sense. And I just saw the other day a new video from a very interesting YouTube site, which I like, called Academy of Ideas. And just by a kind of synchronicity, they did a video also on this theme of disembodiment. And I'll put the link below. And I think that's worth talking about because they did a very good video on disembodiment. And they talked about how it's, again, taking us out of ourselves. But one thing that this video from Academy of Ideas did not mention is, I suppose, the metaphysical side of it. And I've talked about this before. And in fact, I did write an essay last November, which I haven't published yet, but I will publish very shortly. And it's the second part of my Hidden Forces of Life series. And it's called Hidden Forces of Life Part 2, Techne and Terraforming. And Techne, the art of technique, and how we interact with technique through technology, is terraforming the social environment, our lives, the planet, and our psychological and inner lives. It's terraforming our life experience. And I also feel that this disembodiment has a side to it metaphysically, or let's say with the inner world, which is significant. And it may be no coincidence that this terraforming of the social environment is creating this disembodiment. And on one side, it could be because this is leading up to this kind of transhumanist path, whereby, as I've spoken about before, the transhumanist path is saying that what I call the weak body hypothesis. The biological human body has weaknesses and it needs tweaking, whether genetically tweaking, and then to connect with appendages like cyborgs, and then eventually, so the argument goes, we'll be merging or uploading our minds to AI and being completely leaving the biological realm behind. So this form of disembodiment is a precursor whereby, by living into the monitor screen, which then the next iteration will be the metaverse or something similar, we're already being taken away from a kind of sensate environment, a bodily sensorium. So the younger generations, especially, who are growing up already living some way outside of their body, it will be a lesser step to go further down the transhumanist path. And I think I sense also that these living in the urban environments also take us out of our body because of the pace of life, the rhythm of life, the energetics, the electromagnetic smog, and all this takes us away from ourselves in complete contrary distinction to living, let's say, close to the land, in nature, where everything is by the body. Everything is, very sensate, touchable. We have to grab things. We have to touch the earth. We have to get our hands dirty. It's a very bodily realm, and so we get brought back to the body, both biological body and the body of the earth, whereby in these urban environments they're increasingly artificial, automated, digital in the urban environments, and that takes us away from the bodily sensorium experience. And that, of course, the further we are detached from the body sensate, then I feel that we're also being taken away from a contact with the inner essence. Because the body also is a vessel for contact with everything, not just the physical world and the physical impacts and influences, not just the five senses, but everything beyond the normal ken. Everything that is, like we would call, let's say, from the unseen realm or the metaphysical realm. Our body is receiving energies all the time from the solar energies, magnetic energies, and also influences from transcendental impulses that we would call perhaps spiritual, or contact with source, the consciousness field. The body receives all that. It's a great receptor. And if we are going further down this road of disembodiment, then we're detaching from this great receiver. And so we're detaching from all the great signals that can come from this non-physical origin. And so perhaps we're moving into other signals also, but they're not the signals that are natural. They're signals that are being created by the artificial world, what I would call more so noise. So the question I'm asking myself is, there is a consequence from the path we're going down, which is a disembodiment. But is there an intention behind this also, to try to detach humanity from a source of its essential self, from its source of energy and its natural evolutionary impulses, and taking humanity out of contact with those natural evolutionary impulses and putting it into an artificial pathway or artificial environment? What are the consequences of that for humanity and its future and its evolutionary future? So I think there are questions over disembodiment that are a byproduct of what's happening in society. But also there could be, there are intentions behind driving society down this transhumanist or this increasingly digitized artificial environment. And I'm sure that there is an awareness behind this also, that this embodiment will push humanity further into accepting a future less and less connected with the body, and therefore less and less connected with a kind of the umbilical cord to the realm, the source, the consciousness field, around which has been feeding us thus far. And that for me is something that I feel is significant. So yes, therefore, start the year, I would say, let us stay connected to your body, to your sense of self, to your home frequency, and to literally and metaphorically keep your feet on the earth. And if at all possible, may you keep your hands dirty with the bacteria of the soil, the richness of the earth. Not all bacteria are our enemies. In fact, without the bacteria, our bodies will not exist. So that's a good symbiosis. So these are my thoughts for this time. Thanks. I appreciate you taking the time to stay with me, and let us have a good year in the best way we can. Cheers.